The Window Store is your locally owned and operated go-to source for high-quality updates at affordable prices. They specialize in windows, kitchen refacing, roofing, and entry doors. After 20-plus years of going above and beyond for homeowners in Minnesota and in Wisconsin, they are proud to be one of the top home improvement companies in the country. With over 900-plus reviews on Google and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, you can count on them to provide you with the best possible experience. Now, they're a company that you can depend on for your current and future projects, all backed by their done right guarantee. They'll provide you with straightforward, honest pricing and ensure that you are getting the best products for your needs installed by trained, licensed, and certified professionals. You can visit them online at www.windowstoreinc.com and let them guide you through every step of the process from start to finish. Welcome to Black and Blue with AK and Officer Jai. I'm AK Kamara.
I'm Jai Hansen.
And we are a brand new podcast. This is going to be episode 2, and we have a great episode lined up. I just want to remind everybody about what this podcast is about. In the game of politics, in the game of life, we get beat up left and right, especially when we're talking about people that have right of center belief systems. And so we want to be able to have conversations that are meaningful about philosophy, about ideology, but we also come from a real perspective. Myself, I've been involved in politics for the last 16 years, involved with the Republican Party, and my co-host, he's been involved in law enforcement. And so this allows us to have meaningful conversations, and we're both two black dudes. So that's what this podcast is really about. Jai, I know you've been in law enforcement for...
I've been in law enforcement for 17 years, and I don't know, man, who's more black and blue this week? Is it going to be you or is it me? We're going to find out real soon.
We're going to find out. And we have a great guest lined up for this episode, someone that if you've been at all involved in the Minneapolis-St. Paul political scene, you've probably, if you've been on Twitter, came across a tweet from Rev Tim Christopher, and that is who our guest is today. Rev, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
How you been?
You know what? I'm always good, my brother.
What are you going to be for Halloween?
I'm always good. I'm just going to be me like I always am.
For anyone that doesn't know who you are, Rev, you're someone that's passionate about the people and the community that you serve. And that's something that I gleaned from the first time that I ever came across a tweet of yours, because you are not afraid to say what it is that you mean and what it is that you believe. And so when we talk about this podcast, we talk about people that might get beat up in the media or there's a public perception. And because you say what it is that you mean, you get attacked from all different sides. So, for you, what is your purpose when you're communicating with the public, when you're making a statement? What is the main thing you're trying to convey to people?
I just want people to listen. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. And that's what I always put out there for everybody to understand. You can think any way you want to think, but there's always two sides to every story, right? People have, like you guys was just saying, 3 black guys sitting at a table. We're never able to pretty much tell our story. Everybody tells our story. Everybody put it any way they want to. And we just got to try to live it. But what I do, I say, no, there's another side to the way we live, the way we think, the way we act, the way we interact with each other, right? So that's what I try to put out there. And I try to make sure everybody understand that, we are humans, period. Yeah. At the end of the day, one thing that I say to people is this here. I say, you like Fruit Loops, I like Fruit Loops. You put milk in your Fruit Loops, I put milk in my Fruit Loops. You put your Fruit Loops in a bowl with milk, and you eat it with a spoon. There's really no difference. Think about it. At the end of the day, there's really no difference between us and white people. There isn't.
Right.
But because of this, we like to make it different. You understand what I'm saying? And I got that from my stepfather, a white man who raised me since 1977. this white man came into our lives, and he brought me up not to be hateful to no one.
Let me ask you, do you think that had an impact? Because I myself, my mother's white, and I kind of have this different perspective, but do you think that helped to shape your view of especially race, seeing kind of things that were different from a race perspective that you wouldn't maybe necessarily assume?
Yes, it did. It showed me racism, and it showed me how to, my father showed me how to accept it, because that's basically what it is, right? We accept racism. We accept people being racist towards us, and then we just walk away from it. Tell you a story real quick. It's just like when we would go off of the base. I grew up in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, on a military base. But when we would go into Jacksonville, we would have to split up, in the early 80s, because we didn't want the flack that would come from, here's a black woman with 4 black kids, and then this white man showing love to her in a racist Jacksonville, North Carolina. So I saw that. I've watched my dad cry over stuff like that. So I watched him accept it, but still go on with life and enjoy life, and not let it bog him down, and not, hate people because of the way that they was treating his family. So yeah, it shaped me in a huge way.
See, I have a small theory that people are afraid of what they don't feel that they can connect with. And your cereal analogy is perfect. People think that maybe black people eat cereal differently. like honestly, like if you're a white person and you've never really interacted with a black person, you might believe, oh, they must be different. And it's like, once you understand that they're not, it kind of dispels a lot of things from you.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say too, with the race issue, I was adopted when I was 2 years old from India. My brother's African-American. He was adopted from Texas when he was 6 months old. Having 2 white parents and going on trips. I remember going on trips and people going up to my parents and saying, oh, that's nice that you have them for the weekend. Thinking that they took us out of the city or doing things like that. And my dad said, oh, no, we have them a little longer than just the weekend trip, weekend getaway. So I feel that too. But I also wanted to back up a little bit. You have a big social media following. And you didn't set out to have a big social media following. Tell the story. I know a little bit behind it about how you ended up on Twitter, but it really wasn't your idea to get on Twitter, right?
No, it wasn't my idea to be on Twitter. That was my son's idea.
And why did he encourage you to get on social media and start sharing your views?
Because he thought, because I was on Facebook, I was just on Facebook trolling. I'll be honest with you. But I got really good at it. And my son was like, hey, Dad, no, you need to, he goes, Dad, you are Twitter. You really need to get on Twitter. And so he set the whole thing up. I had zero clue, bro. I had zero clue what a Twitter was.
What a tweet was?
I'm serious. I had never heard of it. You know what I mean? Because I was doing, like I said, I'd go jump on Facebook for a little bit, kind of piss somebody off, and then I'm done for the day and things of that sort. And then I got on Twitter, and Twitter just, I don't know, it just felt right.
So you said you're really good at trolling. It's a skill to have that.
It is a skill, man.
Who are some of your recent targets, or who are you going after right now? Who's in your head right now?
Right. I don't really, I don't really go after people. People come at me now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll put a tweet out, and it triggers people. Yeah. And I know it will. And a lot of times that's what I do, because that's how it seems like on Twitter, you get more engaging with people when they're pissed off. Mm-hmm. They start telling you about yourself, and you start really realizing who you're dealing with, So I haven't, any politician.
And you go after both sides.
Oh, I go, no. And that's what I want people to understand. I don't see myself as a Democrat, and I don't see myself as a Republican. I vote. The thing with me is I vote on issues, right? If let's say Second Amendment right now is a huge issue for me. It really is. Okay, who takes care of the Second Amendment? Who's gonna fight for me to keep my firearms? That's a huge issue for me. Because right now, with this crime going, when me and my wife were out, I'm not taking my wife downtown. I'm not taking my wife to church over in North Minneapolis. And then I got some boneheads, two of them jumping on me, and then I got some bonehead jumping on my wife. I should have a right to defend myself and defend my wife. And if I got my grandkid with me, oh, look out then. Oh, it's on. So, and then I also look at the situation and goes, well, who takes care of the community?
Yeah.
Right. So that would be probably, I would say, somewhat the Democrats. So I'm in one of those, okay, now what's the next thing am I looking for someone to get my vote? So there's Republicans take care of one issue, Democrats take care of another issue. Now what else am I looking for?
You know, one of the things that we've talked about, because you and I met on another podcast that I do, and we've had discussions about what the Republican Party messes up when they go into basically any communities, especially the Black community. Let's talk specifically about the Black community. And you have some strong feelings about that. So I just kind of want to ask, why do you want the Republican Party to try and reach out more? Like I know that you're not one party or the other, but why is that important to you?
It's important to me because I don't want us as Black people to get to the point to where the Democrats are always saying, we got you in the pocket. They should have to sweat for our vote. They should have to come in to the community and really sit down and say, what issues, like I said, I'm an issue voter. What issues are there that we need to take care of with you? Give me 3 issues that I can walk out of here with that I know that I need to make sure that I take care of. Right now, the Democrats look at it and they go, well, I can go to a Black church and buy that church. And then I know that pastor is going to push my message. And that message may not be good for us. So why should we always put our eggs in the Democratic basket? So even if the Republicans, just like I told them this year, just come plant the seed, man.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It may not start growing for a couple of years. That's cool. But the seed has been planted. It put in our head. And especially this year, with the Democrats here doing what they have done and not have done, this was the best. Dude, you couldn't get a ripe crop as you have this year.
Yeah, one of the things that we have mentioned even before we began the show today is when you think about how people move from a political viewpoint, like things happen in a lifetime that start to change the way that you view things. And myself, I look back at the 2020 election and I was interested to see what was the percentage of Black men in Minnesota that voted for Trump. And the number was like almost 38%. And that to me said, wow. Now, black women, they're way down there, like 4% or something. And so I said, there's a real opportunity here. And so to bring it back to your point, I think what matters most is that you have an opportunity that people at least are saying, okay, let me hear what you have coming. Do you think the Republicans, based off of what you've seen, have done enough?
No. It's -0, and they still haven't been in the Black community. It's -0, and they still hadn't put any thought in what they want to do with the Black community.
Why do you think that is?
Because they don't know how. You understand what I'm saying? They don't know how to talk to us. They're afraid to talk to us. And what I've learned through this here situation is it's not the politician. It's the their constituents that's holding them back.
What are as you're out at your church or on the north side or wherever, what are the issues that you are hearing? Let's just be clear about what issues are the ones that are going to sway voters one way or another.
Well, it's the ones that the Republicans don't like to talk about. It's money. It's always going to be money, right? At the end of the day, it's money. Think about this here. Let's say that Minneapolis would have put a hard push on getting the Amazon plant close to where a black woman can get on a bus, get to work, drop her kid off, go to work, get off, pick up her kid on one bus trip, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they would have put some money down in Minneapolis. That would have been awesome, but they didn't do that. So the biggest thing is an economic boost, some type of economic boost to say we need to be lifted up, because right now Broadway looks worse than it did when I lived right on 3rd Street. When we first bought our house, we bought a house right in the middle of Minneapolis because I was promised by Sharon Sells Belton. I was promised by this woman that she was going to bring black families back to Minneapolis in this housing program. That's how I bought my first house, was with Sharon's housing program that she had. They was knocking down blight houses and building brand new houses from stick to stick. And I was like, I'm getting in this. And that was right before Murderapolis hit. And it's been going down ever since, man.
When you think about economics in regards to the black community, I have a position because I'm conservative. Like I'm fiscally conservative guy, but I believe that because I grew up really, really poor, that people just want an opportunity. Like, this is what I think the Democrats get wrong. And it's because of their kind of viewpoint on how things are. It's like, I'm just want to take care of people. I actually think that if you just give black people opportunities that actually are feasible, people will jump on it, right? Like, and this is a conversation I've had. So have you, I know that Senator Roger Chamberlain, he and I have talked offline about, potentially doing some things that would help, Minneapolis and St. Paul in certain black communities. But have you had any conversations with Republicans about some economic ideas of how they can really bring job opportunities to Minneapolis?
Or Democrats. I mean, either sides.
Either one, yeah.
Which politicians are reaching out to you and trying to get this figured out?
Look, once I felt that the Democrats turned their backs on me when I went to the House and testified and begged them to give a damn. No, Democrats hadn't done anything. Matter of fact, I can't even get Bobby Champion to give me an opportunity to get in front of him.
Well, I thought he gave you a 15-minute Zoom call.
Yeah, he wanted to give me a 15-minute Zoom call. I can't say that word.
That's not acceptable?
This is Bobby Joe Champion, the state senator, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Matter of fact, this morning, it's a funny thing you say that. Cedric Frazier. I just called him today to get a meeting with him, to try to sit down with him to talk about what Mike Freeman said 2 years ago.
About the straw purchase.
About the straw purchase, right? Mm-hmm. To push that as hard as he can. I ain't heard back from him. I don't expect to hear back from a Democrat because they don't. I'm like I said, I don't consider myself a Democrat and I don't consider myself a Republican. Mm-hmm. But I'm in your boat. I'm a conservative. I believe in small government. I believe in getting away from me and leave me alone and let me do. I'm going to put you up in office, but I don't expect you to go up there and hurt me. Right?
Yeah.
I expect you to go up there and keep it level. That should be your job. And if you don't do that, we need to find a way to get you out of here, right? But as far as who have I've spoken to, mainly Republicans, because like I said, Democrats. Well, Senator Diedrich, she's really good to me. That she has, like my black Democrats. I ain't heard nothing from them. Ruth Richardson won't give me the time of day.
Have you been able to get in front of the mayor or anything like that? I mean, is it a honest, is it a truthful statement when he says it's easier to find a legal gun in certain parts of Minneapolis than a fresh apple?
I think that when he made that statement, I think everybody's really taking it out of context. Can I go to an alley right now and get a gun? I can. Mm-hmm. And you know that, right? Yeah. I'm not making
right,
that up,
yeah.
right? Can I go to Cub and get a fresh apple? Sure, I can.
Yeah.
You know, I think he you know how Fry is. Fry is over the top, right? At the end of the day. So tell you real quick a meeting that I had. Don Samuelson was having this here this little meeting or whatever it was for Fry in his backyard. And I just so happened to have someone who was going, and they said, "Can you come be my second?" So we're in the backyard, and Fry is going through all of this here stuff, and it's just word salad. And Jai know me. I'm only going to put up with that for so long.
I got a story about that, by the way, too, but go ahead.
I'm like, you know what? That's enough of this. I said, dude, I'm serious. Exactly what I said to him. I said, you need to be the mayor. I said, your problem is you soft. I said, if you can't get up and put your foot down and start acting like you're supposed to. So he gives us this piece of paper, this speech that he's about to have. I'm reading this speech. I told him, rewrite every bit of it from top to bottom and put some fire in this thing, man. Make this thing sound like that you are a mayor. You can't keep running around being soft, dude. You just can't do it. If I showed you the paper that he gave me, I still have the speech. And the one that he rewrote, you would understand what I'm saying here.
Was it better at least?
Oh, it was much better.
Oh, that's good. At least he was able to. So when I hear things like the gun versus apple, my initial thought that I always go to is you're trying to make it seem as though the fact that guns exist is the problem. This is what I continually hear. And so here's what I want to ask you. As someone that's a strong believer in the Second Amendment, but you also know that the violence that happens in Black communities is insane in regards to the damage it does to the community. How do you try and have both of those things be true? I know what I do, but you believe in the Second Amendment and you know that there are people out there that are committing violence using guns.
How do I explain that to people?
Yeah, because most of the time they're going to say, well, if you don't want there to be violence, you got to get rid of the guns.
No. See, and that's the problem that I have with that gun violence phrase.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Didn't mean to have that ring. That's why I have a problem with the gun violence phrase. Because I've got a safe full of guns, and not one of them has ever been violent.
That's true.
Ever.
Yeah.
I can put them together. They're fine. I can split them up. They're fine. My mindset is there's violent people who happen to get guns. These are some violent people. So that's what I tell people. Don't blame the gun. Blame the person for being violent. Why are these people violent? Why do you feel the need that you got to shoot somebody that look like you? Me and Jai walking down the street. I see him on the other side of the street. I know he's probably with some other gang. Why do I need to shoot him? It's not the gun. It's the violent people. It's the people being violent.
Well, we talked about it the other day about the culture. You put out something about rap music, right? And
Hello.
And I said, I think it's both. It's the culture. It's what's become acceptable. I mean, we are taking guns off, and as I say, we, law enforcement, off juveniles at a record rate. It's mind blowing what these kids are able to get now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a cultural problem that's not going to be fixed with gun control, to be quite honest with you.
Because you're not going to be able to get rid of all of the illegal guns that shouldn't already be out there and shouldn't exist. So for you, how do you have that conversation with people in the community that you serve that have basically been told, no, it's a gun problem. It's not a person problem. It's a gun problem. And if you get rid of the guns, then the violence is going to stop. How do you?
Or what reform would you be acceptable to?
What I would like to see is what I'm gonna start pushing now is what Mike Freeman said, to think about the straw purchase. All right. And we need to start going off.
And can you explain that for people that don't understand what that is?
So Jai goes buy a gun, right? And Jai knows that he can go downtown and that gun is going to turn a profit. A $500 gun is going to turn a good $500 profit. It
Correct.
does,
Yep.
right? I can go sell a Glock. I can get a Glock for $500. Go turn that to $1,000. Okay, so you can't do that. You're not allowed to sell a gun that you bought to a known criminal.
Mm-hmm.
And
Prohibited person.
thank you very much. You just can't do that. And one of the things that we're about to start doing is teaching some of the black women that because your boyfriend gets out of jail and then he tells you to go get your carry license and then go buy this gun for me, you can't do that because this is what happens. He goes shoot somebody. There's a body on that gun. The gun comes back registered to you. You go to jail. Now your 2 kids is being raised by your grandmother. That's how this stuff starts in the black community.
Yeah.
Right? And
That's
we got to stop that. But I also want them to understand that it's not the gun that's the problem. The problem is the people who have the guns in their hand. Why are they shooting each other? We really need to look at that. Okay, so what do we know about the people who are shooting each other? That more than likely it's gangs. More than likely it's about economics. It's about money. It's about they did not get their ABCs in school, right? So now I'm 18 years old. I got nothing for myself going. I didn't sit and listen in school. Mom didn't teach me at the dinner table. Dad wasn't around to do anything with me. So what am I supposed to do? Right? So this nation tells me that without a education, I'm nothing. Right?
Yep.
I have no skills. There's no skills being taught in school. I'm not a plumber. I'm not an electrician. I'm not anything. But you know what I am? I'm a good salesperson. I can stand on a corner, right? From 10 o'clock until 10 dusk until 10 dark.
Yeah.
I can stand on this corner and I can sell this little package and I can make as much money and I can take care of mom and my sisters and everybody, my grandma, everybody in the house. I can do that better than anyone. That should not be what these kids are hoping and praying for. Or I get lucky enough to sell enough and then I can make my own rap music and try to get out of it that way.
One of the aspects that I've always found kind of hard to be able to put into its proper perspective, but you probably have a better way of explaining it. You're a man of God, right? And you have the reason we call you Rev is because you're Reverend, right? So sometimes, I guess, what do you tell the people that come to you in your congregation that might say, "Hey, you can't talk like that," or as a man of faith, how can you want to exercise your Second Amendment right? How do you kind of square those things together?
Look, I'm from the streets. I grew up on the streets, and it's just like I say to people, God knew who He was getting. All right. And if He wanted to change me, I would have changed at the time that He put this cloth on me, but He didn't.
Yeah.
He let me be who I am. He let me feel the way I feel. He let me talk the way I talk, and he let me come to people the way that I come to people, right? And I don't try to be phony. I don't try to act like this way on a Sunday and then this way on a Saturday. When I say you get me for who I am, trust me, brother, this is who I am.
AK, I got to tell a quick story. We had a meeting up at the Senate Majority Leader's office not too long ago, and we were talking about issues that are affecting our community. And Rev's in there. We have the Senate Majority Leader. We have a couple other senators in there. And tell me if I'm lying, but you did not change your tone with them, just like you'd be talking to anybody else. And at one point, he looked at the senators and he said, "You don't care about these people getting killed because they're black. You should have saw all of them lean back in their seat and had nothing to say." I didn't know if I should have laughed or I was just shocked, but I was happy you said that because we got some really good dialogue after that was said.
Yeah.
And I mean, tell a little bit about that. I mean, you talk about the grandmother that you helped out and why you're so passionate about helping these people.
I mean, I help them because look, I started doing this here back in '97. This is how long I've been out here. I mean, I'm not a Johnny come lately. But I walked away because my own people started making me feel like we're not going anywhere. And the reason I came back is because the people in the church was like, Rev, we need somebody to say something. Nobody listens to us. We've been out here screaming and yelling. Nobody says anything. So that's one of the reasons why I'm back doing this. But like I said before, I'm not coming back and being phony. I just can't do that. Look, I get to go behind doors you guys can't go, right? I've been in behind the doors with preachers, with pastors, with clergy, with you name it, right? And I see these guys this way 1 minute, and then we get behind closed doors, and then that's when everything comes off, and they can start cursing, smoking, drinking, some of everything. That's why people are looking at religion right now the way that they're looking at religion, because it's just too many phony people out there. I'm not gonna be phony for you, man. I'm not tap dancing. And the same thing with people on Twitter. People on Twitter are always after me. Look at you, you're a reverend. You shouldn't be that way. Well, you shouldn't be that way. Well, you gonna tell me I shouldn't be that way.
Honestly, that's what we're missing in society.
Yeah.
And I don't care if we're talking politics. I don't care if we're talking business. Is people are so afraid to be who they are. And my whole thing is, if you are okay with who you are and you feel that you have a purpose, your job is not to get approval from other people.
That's right.
And there are people that are lost, that they don't know what they want. And so they're out there bumbling around. But be who you are, stand up for what you are. And it seems like you figured that out. And that's who you are. And that's an endearing quality that I think we are missing, sorely missing in society.
So when we were up in that room, I didn't, like I said, I don't have time. I really, when I say I don't have time, I don't mean that just say that. I don't have time to play with people. So I've got to give you what I got, and you take it the way you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, they sat back. I said it so they can think about what I'm saying. I need you to open. For a few seconds, I need you to open your mind. Right.
Right.
Don't think about the way you thought about things. Don't see it the way you see it. Right. Think about it this way. Think about it on somebody else's level. Right. If I walk in there and dilly-dallied around with them, we get nowhere. Nobody.
Which a lot of people do.
Right.
Yeah.
So
go and you play your lip service. Everyone kind of shakes.
Thank you for taking the time.
We had this great meeting. And
Yeah.
you're hitting them with, this is how you see things. This is how you
not happening, brother. Not happening. Here's who I am, and you're gonna do one of two things. Either you're gonna rock with me, or you're gonna go your own way. And either way, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, because
right?
you know what you know.
That's right. Because
you got your path.
you wasn't rocking with me before I met you, so I'm gonna be cool. But if you're gonna rock with me this way, then this is the way it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to you this way. And my wife sometimes say that I'm too rough, but I'm sitting here going, hey, they just got to get a tough skin. I'm not coming down. You understand what I'm saying?
Have you ever had a desire to run for office?
No.
See, but
that was my question.
I think this would be, you would be awesome.
I'll be in jail. Y'all would be no.
Why is that?
Man.
Why is that? Yeah.
I would be. Look. There's some people.
Have you considered it?
No, I've never considered. I know me. I know, seriously. I know me. I don't have look, I would be up there and I'll be begging people to understand that make me understand how you can be an elected official and know that there are babies getting shot and killed, but you still gonna vote against a bill that could help this situation. How can you do? Boy, you vote against a bill that I put down there, I'm coming down and knocking you out. So there's no reason for me to do what I know I would do. So I don't put myself it's just like when I carry. I don't put myself in certain positions.
Yeah.
Right?
You got to be smart about where you're. Yeah. You're not going to go to a place that you know that there's a much elevated chance, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're out there searching and looking for a reason. And that's, people that are responsible. In my opinion, if you're a responsible gun owner, the last thing you ever want to do is discharge that weapon.
That's right.
Ever.
So I put myself behind people like Jai. Jai should be Jai right now should be the brother should be shared. I look.
Well, thank you, but
that's what I do. And then you got knucklehead people who don't understand where we need to go. That's the problem. So what do? We find somebody to make us feel good. Jai ain't trying to make nobody feel good. Jai's out here trying to do what needs to be done. That's why I like this brother. But Democrats gonna put somebody in that seat that's gonna hold their water for them and do what they tell them to do. That's the problem. I'm not gonna do what you tell me to do. Jai wouldn't have done what they told him to do. His job was to go in there and just tear the China shop up and make it right.
It would have been interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I would have made it interesting.
Yeah. That's why I got behind this brother. I was like, this is what I'm talking about. He like me. Except he's foolish enough to get in the ring and run for something. No, I'm good, bro.
Well, I'm gonna work on you. I'm gonna keep on trying to see what we can get you in.
No. I'm good. I got enough going on. I got it. That phone rings enough for me to be who I am, and I enjoy being out here helping the people. I mean that's the road God put me on. I didn't know what my road was going to look like once I got into understanding and loving God, because I wasn't a good person. I don't, everybody's like, you're so nice. No, I wasn't a good person at one point in time. So when I sit here and say you're looking at a miracle, trust me when I say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't a good husband at one time. I wasn't a good father at a good time. I just wasn't a good person because certain things that was going on with me, I did not understand. And the way I understood, got to where I'm at today, was in 1998, I walked into Berean Missionary Baptist Church, and I found what I needed to get on the right journey to make a difference, not only in my life, but in my life with my boys, with my wife, and other people. And this has been an awesome journey for me. So anytime I start talking about God and I start talking about what Jesus has done for me, I'm not kidding, man. I don't kid when it comes to that.
Something that you've just touched on. It's hard to sometimes encapsulate. I've tried to talk to people about this so many times, but when we talk about culture and we talk about having people understand that it's not that a gun is violent, it's that people have lost their way. People don't understand. We have these things that are not ever going to be a quick fix, right? Like we can legislate certain things, economically, and we could talk about programs that will help people in crisis moments. But when we're talking about a cultural shift, that's a long process, right? And because you are someone that had your life actually changed by God, that's a hard thing to have to explain to people. Someone's like, well, what are you going to do? Like, tell me today, what are you going to do? There is no quick fix, right? It has to be almost like on a person by person basis. It has to be a cultural shift. So for you, are there certain things that if you see someone in crisis that you come across, whether it's at your church or out in the street, what do you try and do, or give a few steps or advice to try and get them to move and change that, make that cultural shift? Like, what do you want to try and accomplish from that perspective?
One of the things that I don't do is I don't beat people over the head with the Bible. I'm not coming to you, Bible this, Bible this, Bible this, because it didn't happen to me. So what I do is I try to give people real life. I want to understand your real life. I want to understand what you're going through, what the problem is. What do you see yourself? Where do you think you're going? And then I equate where you going with your life with where God wants you to be. He wants us happy. Not only do he wants us happy, he wants to make sure that we understand that he is the goal. At the end, no matter, I don't care what religion you are. At the end of the day, I guarantee you, everybody say God is the goal. So how can I take God and wrap him around my life now and walk this journey? This has not been a quick journey. I said 1997. It took me that long to get to where I'm at right now. I fell many times. I was back out on the streets many times. So I try to make people understand he's an on-time God. He really is. But he's not going to come when you want him to be there. It's just not going to happen. There was many nights that my wife said she was on the floor crying and praying for me. Not for her, but for me. Right? And she kept saying she didn't even know if it worked because I kept doing the same thing over and over and over. So when I tell people God is not a microwave, don't expect to go put 2 seconds on the microwave and then push that start and then you're going to walk out and everything's going to be good. This is a serious journey. But the thing about it is when you get to the point to where you understand God, then you start going, oh, okay, I'm good. I can rock this. I can be all right. No matter what happened, no matter if I get up and things are not going. But it's if you give it your all, just like a drug user, keep chasing that high, keep chasing God.
Yeah. I think when you have that perspective where you can break it down, there's never going to be a simple answer. It's just, that's what I have found in life, and people don't like that. And so from a political perspective, I actually did an after school program at the YMCA over at Sheridan Elementary, just kind of down the street from here. Yeah. And I had a program that I was the staff called Leaders in Training, LIT. And I would have my kids in my, in this after school course. And I developed this whole thing about trying to teach these kids how to be leaders. And I just explained to them that this is not going to, you could take this class 5 times, but you're going to have to start to apply these things into your life. And that's just the truth, is that it takes work. It takes persistence. And more specifically, in my honest, humble opinion, if you don't have a faith, it's impossible, because the world is bleak, man. Like if we don't have something that's higher, it becomes, and this isn't to be like preachy or religion-y,
No.
but it's just like, that's just true.
Right.
If you put your hope in a person or an individual, it's impossible to find.
Yeah, Rev, I wanted to talk a little bit about, people that only see you on social media and might say, oh, he's blunt or he's rude or whatever. I want you to touch on a little bit about the personal side of getting a phone call at 3:00 in the morning and hearing another teenager getting shot and killed. And the toll that does take, right? I mean, in law enforcement, we see it.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a toll. And that's something that I think people need to know about you as well.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand that. I mean, it guts you. And I tell the same story. The reason I became so hard to the point to where I'm saying this has to happen, and there is no other way around it. The kid that got shot, I don't know if you probably know, but there was a kid that was walking home from a basketball court. He had just finished playing basketball, straight A student, wasn't doing anything to anyone. He was on the phone with his mother.
Just like 5 years ago.
Yep. There was two rival gangs shooting at each other. They shot this kid. The kid was dead before he hit the ground. He was on the phone with his mother. My foundation went and helped this mother through a hard time. So we're sitting there one time, and the grandmother was at the house. And she was saying, and this is literally right before Christmas. We're what, 2 weeks in before Christmas. And she was just saying, she goes, I feel gutted. And that didn't resonate with me right away. But as her and my wife was hugging each other for, I would guarantee you, for about 30 minutes, it started resonating. And I started saying to myself, I would feel gutted if something happened to one of my boys. And from that time on, I just got to the point to where it hardened my heart in a way of saying, I'm not putting up with any more of the crap anymore. When my phone rings and okay, Rev, we need you to come down to Lindale and Broadway because somebody has got shot at the liquor store, and you go there, and a mother is there, and she identifies her kid by the shoes that he had on. There will be people who would never understand what I just said, and then they're just going to sit there and go, whatever. Jai, you know what I'm talking about,
yes,
right? Mm-hmm. You're holding this woman. You're literally holding her up because she just wants to fall on the ground. And you, with all the strength you have, that takes a toll on you. It really honestly does. And I thought I had went through it when Murderapolis, all those black men that our church buried. But here lately, with all these children dying, with the mothers of the three kids, all three of those kids, we made sure that we put a check in their hands. The parents of those kids, we put a check in their hands so they did not have to leave that hospital. They was able to order food, just in case the kid woke up, just in case they can keep holding their kid's hand. That stuff, people, I mean, if you're not there and if you don't get it, if you don't feel it, you don't understand. So when I get smart mouth people on Twitter saying smart things, stupid things, and then I go off on them, and everybody give me this, oh, well, you're a reverend, you're a man of the cloth, you're not supposed to say those type things. Okay.
That's where that comes from. Can you walk a little bit through how does this process work? Because let's be very honest, a lot of people have no idea why, if someone gets shot, they would call another person. Can you kind of walk through, like, why is that an important aspect? Why is that important for you and your organization to be there to provide comfort to community?
Well, yeah. Just like you just said. Right?
Well, talk a little bit about, to that point, about your foundation. And I'll say, from a law enforcement perspective, foundations like yourself help us tremendously. when it comes to helping the victims. And sometimes people don't want to talk to an officer wearing a uniform because we have that professional side of us that it's hard sometimes for certain officers to turn that off and hug somebody who just lost a family member.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So having somebody like Reverend Christopher coming in and helping us not only helps that family, but it helps law enforcement as well. So touch on your foundation, if you would.
Yeah, my foundation is called Shepherd's Works. And basically, my wife and I started that during the pandemic because there was just there was nothing for the poor Black people, the poor white people, any person of color. And when certain things happen, just like Jai says, a lot of people don't like talking to law enforcement, especially if it's because of law enforcement.
Great.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They just don't like talking to law enforcement. So we go down to be that buffer between the family and law enforcement. I get called to come down a certain time, like when the Wright kid,
Dante Wright
got shot.
Mhm.
I literally just got back from South Carolina for our week vacation. The wife and I go down there. Seriously, I just drove in the parking lot from that getting off the plane. I mean, not the parking lot. I just drove in my driveway. My phone goes off. Rev, you got to get down here right now. The kid's been shot. The crowd is gathering. We need you down here for crowd control. So, boom, I'm down there. Dante Wright's situation, trying to hold people together, prayed with the family, the whole nine, trying to keep the police on one side, the community on the other side. It didn't turn into just a crazy situation, that whole nine. So that's pretty much what I do when I get called, when somebody gets shot, or if you got a wayward kid, instead of them calling the cops, I'll get a phone call saying, hey, my kid's running away. My kid's in the driveway right now. He's acting up. I don't want to call the police and have them here. Can you come over? I've been out on a couple of those where they just did not want to call the police.
And the reason I asked that, now I know that, but I think that this is something in this podcast, I think is going to help do a lot of this. There's so many people that has never been an experience that they've ever lived through. They will go their entire life and they won't know of someone that was killed as a homicide. Like it's something they see on TV or they watch a Netflix series.
It's removed.
It's so removed. And so I think that's such an important thing and an aspect for people to understand that this, especially in the Black community, this happens at such a ridiculous rate. And that over these last few years, when you combine pandemic with the defund movement, that these numbers, every single, all these homicides that are happening, these are people's lives that are utterly destroyed.
Yeah, it's not just a number.
Right.
It's not just
a number.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important for people to understand that too, is that when you come from this place of passion, this is why you're passionate, man. Because we're talking about real people.
The good and the bad.
Yeah.
Good and the bad. But see, one of the problems is we're just beginning to really somewhat talk about it. There's mental illness in the Black community, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just don't talk about it. We don't open up and start saying that we have problems and people have problems in the Black community. And that's something that we have to start bringing out. And I talk about it, I bring it out. It's not just the normal Black Republican rift where they come into the community and start talking about, there's no Black fathers in the community and all this here type of stuff. There's problems in the Black community that we have to address. We as Black Americans, not everybody else who want to come in, the soccer mom, cookie moms want to come in and try to act like they can plant a couple flowers on the boulevard and that's going to solve all our problems.
Yeah.
No. We've got some serious things, man, that we need to start addressing, at the end of the day.
Rev, if people want to help your foundation, how can they do that? What are you looking for in support?
Well, one of the things that we're going to be doing, I don't know if you guys you've been to Cary Street, right?
Yes.
1010
Yeah,
Cary?
yeah, yeah.
Arbor Lights.
Yes.
Well, what we're about to do for Thanksgiving is, they finally gave us the okay to come back and do it. We're about to feed about 500 homeless people. So that's one of the things that we're looking to do. People can always give any type of, like dried food that can sit on the shelf, because we have adopted a school with homeless kids. We have adopted them that we're going to be filling their food shelves and helping them out. So if anybody want to do something like that, they can call me. My number is on our website, which is shepherdsworks.org, shepherdsworksmn.org. You can donate to us. Whatever money comes in, definitely goes out. And we buy clothes. We do a lot for the homeless, which, today the police department decided to go down and basically raid some homeless camps right before
three encampments.
I'm not going to get into Fry today. I'm going to leave him alone. I'm just not even going to.
The nice thing about having a podcast is that we can have you back. So, because honestly, there's so much that I think that people are going to be able to learn having these candid conversations. And as much as I love Twitter, you only have, 180 characters or whatever?
Something like that.
Something like that. And so you can do like a thread, but most people don't have an attention span. So I think that we're able to actually have these conversations about so many different aspects of it. And again, every time I meet you, Rev, you impress me because of your candidness, because I'm a candid dude as well.
Right.
I like to just say it how it is. And that's always something that I appreciate that is so rare to find, especially when we're talking about anything to do with politics. It's so rare to find people that are genuine, that come from a place of just realness.
Well, I don't have any. See, I say it this way: I don't have anything to lose. I'm good with my God. I'm good with it. So ain't nothing you gonna say to me that's gonna hurt me. Ain't nothing you gonna say to me that's gonna hurt me, because y'all ain't better than the devil. See, I didn't dance with it, right? So at the end of the day, whatever I want to say, I'm gonna say it, because the only thing you can do is walk away and never talk to me ever again. Yeah. I'm good with that too.
It's true,
right?
It's true,
because it's funny to me how I can block somebody on Twitter and all of a sudden 3 other people show up. So I'm good, but yeah, I can only say so much on Twitter. That's why and that's another thing. Even the videos that I do on Twitter, that wasn't my idea. Somebody said, "Rev, I don't get enough from you in what I'm trying to learn. You got to do something different." So that's why I started the videos, because people was like, "Dude, you got to start talking." And I'm like, I'm learning this stuff. I had zero clue, brother.
Yeah.
I had zero clue what I was doing.
You're making an impact. You're
you.
having these conversations. You're out there, and it's always, like I said, it's actually very empowering to see someone that's out there saying what they want to say and having an impact with so many different things. So again, appreciate you being on the podcast. We're going to definitely have you back. Amazing conversation.
I look forward to your candidacy.
Well, that one over here, I didn't know you was gonna be here, and I'm like I said, I'm like you. I'm liking you every time I get next to you. But no, Jai calls up. Would you want to be on my? What are you talking about? Would I want to be on your podcast? Dude,
I thought you would have something to say.
You didn't even have to ask. You know the answer to that. I'm a fan of this one right here.
Oh, thanks. I'm a fan of you, man. So.
No, I appreciate you guys. I definitely appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to be here to hang out with you. I thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being on. And for everyone listening to the podcast, make sure that you guys share this podcast episode with your friends, your family, because if you don't, then no one can hear this conversation, especially if you think that we did a great job and you want to hear more of this type of conversation. Spread the word, get it out there. I'm AK Kamara.
I'm Jai Hansen.
We are Black and Blue Podcast.